What's up, y'all? This is Bahir, here to give you his review of WWE Survivor Series. And seeing as I do not have a lot of time here, since I got a lot of stuff I got to do tonight, I'm just going to breeze through this. If it seems like I missed something or just passed by something, I apologize. And if you just email me about it, I'll be happy to elaborate on it a bit more. But yeah, so overall I thought this was a pretty damn good show. It wasn't as good as the show we saw last week. I'll point that out right now. And anyone who says that it was is just bullshitting you. But this was a very good show. An improvement over the last. I'd say this is the best pay-per-view since SummerSlam from the WWE. And this had a very, very, very good card, top to bottom. There wasn't any, in my opinion, there wasn't a bad match on this card, which was a good thing. And there was one great match and a couple of pretty good matches in between. So show kicked off with Team Morrison versus Team Miz, as I thought it would. Team Morrison was John Morrison, Evan Bourne, Finlay, Matt Hardy, and Shelton Benjamin versus Team Miz, which was The Miz, Dolph Ziggler, Jack Swagger, Drew McIntyre, and Sheamus. This was a decent Survivor Series elimination match. Wasn't anything special. It did a great job actually of getting The Miz, Drew McIntyre, and Sheamus really over. But I also feel at the same time it made Shelton Benjamin, Finlay, and Matt Hardy look very uncredible. And I didn't like that. I really didn't like that, especially since I'm a big mark for all three of those guys. But it did get people over, and I guess that's what this match was supposed to do. So it started off great in my opinion with Evan Bourne in the ring getting, like, he got beat down, but then he make his comeback, and he actually got the pin on Dolph Ziggler. I'm guessing Ziggler's push is going right down the drain for I don't know why, because he is pretty over, and he is a pretty damn good wrestler, but, you know, he's lost to Morrison more times than I can count, and now this. So, but yeah, it made Bourne look great. From then on in, it was just, like, sort of fast-paced, in. When it came down to Sheamus, The Miz, and Drew McIntyre versus John Morrison, the crowd got way into it. But you know, I think Morrison should have gotten a little more in than he did. You know, like I said, it made the team Morrison look like a group of jobbers, and I didn't really like that whatsoever. But it did get those three over, and it was a pretty well-paced match for the most part. I'll give it 2.5 stars. Wasn't anything great, but wasn't anything bad at the same time. So up next was Batista versus Rey Mysterio. I was going into this match thinking that it was literally just going to be a squash. I thought that Dave was just going to, like, I didn't even think that there was going to be a match. I thought Dave was, like, just going to go out there, beat the crap out of Rey, and then just, like, leave him beat down the ring, because it was said that Rey was going to go out for surgery after this match, which apparently now is true since we saw him get stretchered out. But this was about as good of a match that you could squeeze into, like, 5 minutes, because this, well, it was about 5 or 6 minutes, since this had a great pace to it. Batista was way over, which I didn't expect a lot. Like, it was his hometown crowd in Washington D.C., but they actually wanted him to kill Rey Mysterio, which was kind of cool in a way. So he was really over. Rey wasn't as over as they probably wanted him to be, obviously, since they wanted him to kill him. But the ending was really cool. He hit like 3 power bombs, Batista bombs on Rey, and then Rey just, like, was out of it, and then he beat the crap out of him with a chair. So that was just really intense. For everything, the story and the crowd reaction, and then just, like, the after-match beating and the way that the match ended, and for the very good pace in the match, I'll give the match 2.5 stars. But like I said, this was about as good of a match that you could squeeze into this short amount of time. Like, for the time that they had, this was really good. I'm hoping that once Rey comes back, because this surgery doesn't sound like it'll keep him out for very long, maybe like 2 or 3 months. But hopefully when he does come back, these two guys can have, like, an actual longer match, because I think with more time they could have had, like, something great even. So anyway, next match on the card was Team Kofi Kingston, which was Kofi Kingston, MVP, Mark Henry, R-Truth, and Christian, versus Team Orton, which was Randy Orton, Ted DiBiase, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, and William Regal. This, in my opinion, is the best Survivor Series match since 2003. That's right, I think it was better than both of them in 2004, although the Raw one in 04 was a good match. I think it was better than the one in 05, although that match was also good. It was better than the two crappy ones in '06. It was better than the one in '07, a good match, but not a great one. And it was better than both of them last year, even though those are both decent to good matches as well. Like I said, was the best Survivor Series match since 2003. The Raw one in 2003. This was the way that I think all Survivor Series matches should be worked. It was very, very well done. My only real beef with it was that a few of the eliminations happened too early. Like, I can understand Mark Henry getting out of there within like 3 seconds, but, well, within like a minute. But the other guy, I think it could have been stretched out a bit longer than it was. Like R-Truth and MVP, I think that they could have both been in there longer. Regal, same thing. And both guys are legacy, I believe, too. But this was just a very, very, very great match. It had a great pace to it. It was about the perfect length. The only time when the crowd started to fall out of it was when CM Punk and Kofi Kingston were in there. Although, like, they were still into it, but just not as much as they were throughout the entire match, since it sort of slowed down a bit in there, which I liked, too, since I thought it was just going to be over there, which shouldn't have happened anyway. So, but the last part, especially when Kofi rolled up CM Punk at the 3 and then just like flipped right out of there and hit the Trouble in Paradise on Orton, that was sick. And they really pushed the fact that Kofi just pinned two former world champions within like 10 seconds. So I guess they're going to push Kofi to the moon, and I think he's earned it. I think he's done a great job thus far. And I can really, really see this feud with Orton going like farther, and then him getting probably pushed into the main event, maybe even by Mania time. So, and he's extremely over. The crowd really, really loved him in this match. Like, they even loved Orton, but Kofi was just mad over him. When he won, like, the roof exploded off the place. So that, and this was a great match. This was a really great match. I'll give this 3 3/4 stars. And like I said, best Survivor Series match since 2003, in my opinion. Up next, we have the SmackDown World Title match. It was Undertaker versus Chris Jericho versus Big Show. Good match. Pretty damn good match. Not like as good as the one that would come later, or as good as the one that happened last week, but it was overall really good. I think this was better than the Fatal 4-Way that happened at the last pay-per-view for the SmackDown title. This got about the time that I needed. It was like a little less than 15 minutes, which is good. And the ending part was really cool when Undertaker counted the chokeslam to the Go-Go Plata. That was really good. And Chris Jericho gets the nod maybe for line of the night, other than the backstage promo with Christian and the rest of his team there. I think that got backstage segment of the night because that was so funny. You'll know what I'm talking about if you saw the event. But Chris Jericho, a fan in the crowd, randomly shouted, "Go back to Toronto," and he just looked back and said, "I'm from Winnipeg, moron." And then like that was just so awesome. The way the camera caught that was amazing. So I'll give the match 3 stars on the dot. It wasn't anything great, but it was a good match, so check it out. Pretty good. Up next was the Divas match, the Divas 5-on-5 match, which was Mickie James, Melina, Gail Kim, Kelly Kelly, and Eve Torres versus Michelle McCool, Beth Phoenix, Layla, Jillian Hall, and Alicia Fox. Worst match of the night, easily. I can't even remember too much of what was in this match. I won't get too much into it since it wasn't really worth anyone's time. It did nothing. I'll just say that right now. It did nothing for these guys or anything. In the end, Mickie James and Melina were the sole survivors after they pinned Beth Phoenix. This wasn't anything bad, but like I said, it did nothing for these guys, and there was nothing to see in this match. So I'll give it 2 stars on the dot. Well, no, I'll give it 1 3/4. So, no, actually, you know what? Skip all that. 1.5 stars. I'll go 1.5 stars since it wasn't even that good. So, then we had our main event of the night: Shawn Michaels versus Triple H versus John Cena. Great effing match. Not as good as the triple threat match last weekend, but a great effing match. I'll give this match 4 stars on the dot. The opening part where Shawn Michaels super kicked Triple H right out of the ring, that was awesome, very unexpected. When Cena and Shawn were going at it, that was great. When Triple H put Shawn through the announcer's table, then him and Cena were going at it, it was really good. Then when all 3 of them got in there, it was just off the hook. And then when Shawn kicked out a sweet chin, when Triple H was on top of him, the place just exploded. I thought the ending was it's been done before, so it was like really but everything up until then was just awesome. Like I said, 4-star match, great match to end the show. I'll give the show overall a 7.5 out of 10. Very good. Not as good as the show last week, like I said, but this was still a very good show from the WWE. So